Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Tamer and welcome back to another episode of iTalk Tech. Now in this video, we'll be doing a speed test comparison between the newly released LG G5 and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now while the regular S7 is not being tested today, the results from the S7 Edge should be exactly the same as the S7 as they're pushing the same amount of pixels as well as having the same specs inside. The phone's screen difference between a 5.5 and a 5.1 inch display does not have an impact on its performance as they're pushing the same amount of pixels. Now the LG G5 is packing the same specs as the Galaxy S7 Edge, a Quad HD display, a Snapdragon 820 CPU, 4GB of RAM, and the Adreno 530 GPU. Now before I do begin, make sure you guys go down below and hit that like button, as well as subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Without further ado, let's get started. So we are going to start off the speed test by running Geekbench 3 and seeing how these phones perform. Now looking at the results, we can see that the LG G5 had a higher single core score of 2307 compared to the S7 Edge's 2214. Now if we go ahead and turn to the multi-core score, the Galaxy S7 Edge comes back to beat the LG G5 with a score of 5409 compared to the G5's 5303. Now looking at these results, we can see that both phones get around the same score within a 100-point range. That means we're going to expect a really comparable performance between these two devices. The LG G5 happens to be a little bit more powerful in its single core compared to the Galaxy S7, which is more powerful with all of its cores. Now we're going to move on and see how these devices perform while playing an intensive game like Dead Trigger 2. We're going to be using the app called GameBench in order to monitor the FPS of both the devices as they play the game. Looking at the results, both phones seem to have been playing at around the same FPS level. The LG G5 however did use less RAM than the Galaxy S7, but did end up using more of its GPU resources than the S7. Frame rates while playing Dead Trigger 2 seem to be very consistent at around 30 frames per second, and those dips in FPS can be attributed due to the animations between the storylines. Now the next test we'll be performing is opening up a couple of apps and seeing which phones open them up first. We're going to go ahead and close out of all the applications in order to ensure that both devices are equal. We're going to also be performing a browser test inside this section as well, and we're going to end up clearing all the data from the browsers. Also, as a side note, both phones were connected to the same 5 GHz Wi-Fi network. So as you can see, the LG G5 tends to open up most of its applications a hair quicker than the S7. But the difference is very minimal. I mean, we're talking about milliseconds in difference. This isn't something you'll be able to catch with your eye. But let's go ahead and move on to the final part of the test, where we open the applications back up and test out their RAM management. Alright, so as you can see, in terms of RAM management, the LG G5 and the S7 were almost exactly the same, except that the LG G5 had a quicker animation to open up the applications than the S7. So that wraps up the speed test between the LG G5 and the S7. Both devices are incredibly fast, and the millisecond differences between them are things you'll never notice in person. Both these devices are great phones, and any one of them I'd be happy to own. Let me know what device you guys are going to be picking up, whether it's the LG G5, the Galaxy S7 or S7 Edge, or any other device that's yet to come or it's been already released. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to go down below and smack that like button, as well as subscribe to this channel for more content like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.